YouTube, this is Jonesy with an update on our Big Toys Green Country slash Best Choice, I think is the brand of this Jeep. So in summary, we did an overview video. It got kind of long. We explained all the features of it. It's actually a really cool Jeep. And we're doing this build for a 4-year-old little boy named Samuel. And he needed it converted to hand control, so we put the throttle up on a button here on the steering wheel. So I did the overview, and the mom saw all my recommendations and things that I could see improved, and what you see on right now are all the lights that we added. None of these lights that are on come stock, so we've got the, I guess you're going to call them running lights, fog lights. It's got the dash bar, fog lights there, and then we also lit up the roll bar with LEDs. And we put them direct to the battery so that he doesn't have to have the car on to run these lights. And we did them on 2 separate rockers here. So the upper one does the roll bar, and the lower one will do all the lights on the bumper. So, another thing that the mom took advantage of and was very wise is upgrading this stock charger. I call it a wall wart, and I did verify it. So I charged up the battery to full voltage, and when I went and plugged this into the installed charge port, which is underneath the dash there, it still was putting out 14.5 volts. So a fully charged battery is 13.2 volts, and if you left this plugged into the wall indefinitely, or even more than 12 hours, you're going to start expanding that battery because it only holds so much voltage. So this is very important. It's not an easy conversion like I thought it was going to be. The easy part, all we did was we cut off the stock coaxial plug. It's a 5.5 millimeter by 2.5 millimeter plug, and we tested it, so we know that the wire with the stripe is positive. That's very important when you solder on to your smart charger leads. And we used this EverStart 3 amp. If it was just the stock battery, that would be a little bit too high of an amp, but she also took advantage of, we added to the 7 amp hour, we added a 12 amp hour. So right now we have 19 amp hours of runtime. This thing will run hours. The LEDs that we added isn't going to add much voltage draw. So, I mean, this kid can drive this thing all day. And we're also going to have mom come up with Samuel, and he's in a wheelchair and he has oxygen, so we're going to discuss building a custom trailer that he can pull his stuff around the neighborhood and just go hang out. So back to the charging. So I got it all soldered up. Oh, where is it? So this charger has a little plug here. I don't know the technical name for it, but all we did was just solder it on. And I'll post some pictures here of what we did. We just cut it, verified the polarity, and soldered it on. So we went to plug it in, and a smart charger has to have voltage coming into it. Otherwise it's not going to turn on. If it doesn't sense voltage, it just thinks that it's not plugged into a battery. So I started backtracking because I wasn't able to charge it. It was just sitting there like it was just plugged into the wall but not into a battery. The short version, the long story short, is when you look up into the charge port, way up in here, it's actually on a little micro switch that if the charger is plugged in, which it is, you cannot turn the vehicle on. See, that's on right there, but if I unplug it, it'll power up the vehicle. But But that wasn't the problem. It has what's called a diode in line with the positive. And what this does is it only allows voltage one way. Yeah, this little guy caused me a couple hours of stress. So when the smart charger was plugged in, it wasn't allowing voltage to flow through. It would only allow it in, not out from the battery, if that makes sense. So all I had to do was remove the switch, desolder this little guy, and solder on the positive lead directly to the tab. Problem solved. But hopefully that helps you guys if you're going to do this upgrade that I recommended. See, like right now I don't have it plugged in and it's just in limbo. Well, that's what it was doing because of this diode. So what we'll do is, see, it's not sensing anything. So we'll plug it in. It's actually even a little bit difficult spot. So here's an important thing I have to tell everybody in the client, customer, is what we did lose is the safety of a child could stick something in there, which is hard to see anyways, and you should be watching your kids. But if a child stuck a coin or a key or something like that up in there, yeah, it's going to cause a short circuit now because voltage is coming out of the battery, if that makes sense. So we did lose a little bit of a key safety thing. So the battery right now, and this is a nice feature, it's showing that it's at 90%. So it'll charge this up. See, it's putting out voltage. But the key is, when that says 100%, the micro switch in there will shut off the current so it doesn't overcharge the battery and damage it. He should easily get 4 or 5 years out of these batteries. Sealed lead acids can go for a long time. So once this gets charged up, it'll cut off the current. That's kind of where we're at. If anybody wants to see the battery, all we did is added a universal 12 volt 12 amp hour battery, and all you have to do is parallel wire it, not series. So there's going to be 2 wires coming each one because the positive needs to go over to the positive of the original battery, and the negative of the new battery needs to follow over to the negative of the original battery. It's very common in boats to have dual battery set up, but that's how you do that. Definitely want to make sure you have your wiring right. If you're not familiar with it, if you wire this in series, it's going to go fast for a second and then it's going to blow this board. So parallel wiring, guys, look it up. But massive improvement in runtime there. You can even see the size of the battery. I guess we'll talk about the lights because that's what this video, was originally for. We had to use basically a lot of different lights. In the fog lights, let me grab them here. We used our osmium Superflux. It's 4 LEDs in one. They're pretty cool. They come in a ton of different colors. Great product, osmium.com. Check them out, guys. Fast shipping. In the fog lights on the brush guard here, we used Eagle Eyes. And for these side markers, we used a 2-inch 3 LED strip, waterproof strip. And then, of course, I don't have one over here, but in the roll bar, and this, in the video I said it's not really useful to have them in there because it's just going to light up the back of their heads. But this thing is actually a remote control. So this kid, in my opinion, has one of the coolest RCs you can ever get because he can sit there in his driveway and drive this thing around. How cool is that? So what we used is these, oh shoot, how many does it have? I think it's got 27 LEDs in there. They're a low profile puck, and yeah, that's what we installed in there. And that wasn't easy. There's, I think I counted 31 screws to get these guys out so that we could even install those lights. Yeah, so that is the current status of this build. What we've got coming on now that she wants us to look at is the suspension. It's a really hokey spring. So on top of the spindle there, it's literally got a spring with maybe 3/4 of an inch or inch of travel. But it's with a little guy in there, I don't think it's even going to make any kind of improvement in the suspension. The back, it's not much better. It's got this housing here, and there's a spring in here. So it's got, and it can only travel as far as this little groove right there. If you guys can see that or not, maybe that side better. But it's going to bottom out. It's probably got an inch of travel. So what we're thinking about doing, and I've got to start pulling some parts and ordering stuff, is to soften the springs and actually put some gas struts like you would see in like a vehicle tailgate that dampens it. So the springs will give it the movement, and then the gas strut will control it from just being a pogo stick. So that's the next step, is suspension, and we're going to work on building a trailer mount, but I don't want to mount that until we know how high the trailer is going to be, and there's a lot of factors to take into effect. But yeah, this guy right here, this thing is turning out to be a really cool build, and we're proud to have Samuel on our Sidewalk Outlaws team. We've added our signature Jeep license plate, CKC. Alright guys, any questions, feel free to leave a comment below. Don't forget to subscribe to follow this build, because it's a pretty special one, helping a little kid just get out there in the world and tear up the streets. So looking forward to having them visit for the test drive. And go ahead and give us a thumbs up, subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one. Alright, thanks for watching.